Welcome to the Money Insights Podcast, where high income earners come to learn wealth building strategies that will take them from high income to high net worth. With your hosts, financial and wealth building experts, Christian Allen and Rod Zabriskie.
Welcome into today's episode of the Money Insights Podcast, the wealth building podcast for high income earners. My name is Christian Allen. I'm here with my podcast partner. You know him as Rodney the Pod Zabriskie. Rod, what's up, man?
Hey, I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Man, I couldn't be better.
Wow.
The sun's shining. I got my early morning brisk walk in at 5. And it was perfect weather. It's just great. So I'm rocking and rolling. This is a good time of the year for me. I like it to be warm, but not too warm. And so today we're gonna have a high of 65. Or a high of 75, sunny and clear. I couldn't ask for better weather. But that's not the only thing that's good, Rod.
Okay.
I officially closed on the land on my house deal. So I'm excited about, we just did that a few days ago.
Okay.
So now we're getting into it. We're going to be breaking ground on actual work here in the next couple months. So
that's awesome.
I'm excited. I'm excited. Okay. What about you? What's new in the life of Rod the Pod? You've always got stuff going on with the fam. Anything big that we want to hit on?
Well,
just a recap.
This week is actually kind of a little bit of a lower activity week.
Low key, no weddings, no one being sent off to different countries for a couple years. Nothing like that.
Not for now. But our granddaughter turns 1 this week.
Okay,
so I
congratulations.
That
is something. That's really cool.
That's fun.
Okay, Rod. Today, man. Speaking of all these good things that we're hitting on, we're going to talk today about designing your perfect life.
I love it.
What do you think?
I'm excited.
Okay. So this topic's I think it'll be fun. We went to PIMD Con last week, and I felt like it was kind of like an ongoing theme. That people want to be focused. And again, it was interesting because PIMD Con is Passive Investor MD Con. The focus is obviously money, investments, alternative investments, with a lot of the focus in terms of the goal being to create your best life, create a deliberate life that you're excited about. So yesterday I was talking to Steve Carlos, who I just recently hired to be my media guy. He's now our media guy, and he gave me the ideas. I was kind of trying to portray to him the essence of what we do and kind of those. Anyway, brilliant guy. He was like, this is what you need to be talking about. And I was like, okay, well, let's talk about that. So today, Rod, we are talking about designing your life, but it's not going to be about how to design your perfect life, because I don't know that we have the perfect roadmap for that. Although we can certainly help you on the money side of it. Right.
Yep.
But what we're going to do is share some of our own experiences and some of the things that we've done to try to design our life. And hopefully that can be either a cautionary tale or an inspirational story, depending on how you look at it. Right.
Yeah.
But either way, that's going to be kind of the approach that we take today.
Sweet.
So, Rod, let me just tell you this before I ask you a question.
Okay.
This really is a concept that I'm passionate about. And you know this probably as well or better than anyone outside of my wife, that this is how I live my life. It's everything that I have done, that I've tried to build, has been focused on kind of doing it around this idea of kind of doing it how, where, when, with whom I want to. And it's been really kind of cool to be able to inch closer and closer to that over the years, to where today, I wouldn't say I'm 100% there, but I'm 95. If I want to leave for a month, Rod's going to hold down the fort for me. And that's awfully nice.
Yeah.
So anyway, I really am incredibly passionate about this. I can't imagine a life where I have to be told that I have to do this at this time. Now, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. It's just hard for me at this point. Right. So here's the deal. Oh, go ahead.
And I can vouch for you for this. I'll kind of back you up on this because from the moment we started working together, so 13 years ago, when I came on your team, you were very vocal about this idea that you had a goal in mind. You wanted to do things on your own terms, and at the time, you were
Yeah.
less in that scenario, right? There were people
Much
telling you
less.
when to be in the office and what you needed to be
Mm-hmm.
doing and things like that. And you wanted to do those things. You wanted to build a team. So
Yeah.
you were motivated. However, you made it very clear that you picked the profession, you picked the area and the direction inside of that you wanted to go because you wanted to be able to do things on your own terms, create your own path that
Yeah.
fit within where you wanted to be.
Well, and I have some unique funny things. Like I have a couple of like unique health issues and nothing like that's like crazy or fatal or something like that. But I have a couple
Mhm.
of like lingering ongoing health issues that have made some elements a little bit more difficult. And so again, like trying to design things around making just your day-to-day world as comfortable, as
Mhm.
efficient and effective, all of those things is kind of what I've tried to do. I'll get into my day as we go into this a little further. But Rod, I want to turn that kind of same question to you because that's really an example of kind of how I've tried to design like a like this perfect life, quote unquote
Yeah.
perfect life. But how have you, Rod? Now, I mean, the obvious answer is in a lot of the same ways.
Yeah.
But maybe you can give us an example or an idea or some thoughts on how you've focused on, because I know you've very much done the same thing. In fact, I remember when we started, right? You were in a different business, but you were already self-employed,
Mhm.
right? So you had already decided to leave the corporate world. You tried the furniture business right before the 2000, what was it,
8
2001?
2008.
2008, I meant 2008.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was like, that's a little far back. Anyway, like you were already in that mindset, but maybe just kind of, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so what's interesting is this also goes back to it's gonna be a similar theme to what people have heard me talk about before, but the whole Rich Dad Poor Dad,
Oh,
as I
yeah.
was reading the book and it was about creating financial security and independence, well, that's ultimately what that meant to me was that would mean that I can do things on my own terms. I can create my own world in which to do them and the progression that is described now, especially moving into the cash flow quadrant where you talk about employee moving to self-employed, moving to business owner, moving to investor, that is basically the progression of what we're describing here. As an employee, you're literally told this is what you do on a day-to-day basis. This is what we need you to do, show up and perform.
Okay,
As
you know what's really
self-employed,
funny about that,
yeah.
Rod? And I want to
Uh-huh.
keep this track, but like I always think about this. A lot of times it's the employees are doing a lot of the same work that you would do as a business owner in many
Mhm.
instances.
Mhm.
The difference is that you have to do it or you're told to do
Yeah.
it rather than being able to like draw on that yourself. And that
Yeah.
feels very different. Yeah,
Yep,
keep
for
going.
sure. Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And so that progression moves into being self-employed. But if you look at the way that Robert Kiyosaki describes that quadrant of being self-employed, you're still an employee. You're just your own employee. So, like you're saying,
Yeah.
you get to have a little more say on maybe some of the specifics of the what and how and when. But still, you still have to show up every day. If you don't show up, things don't happen. And then moving into the business owner, the difference between self-employed and business owner is that now you have uh, a little more autonomy. You have a team around you. They're doing most of the day-to-day work, and you have uh, you're basically an investor, but you own your own business, right?
Yeah.
And then as
Yeah.
an investor, creating passive cash flow, etc., then that again takes it to a different level. So that I think helps describe the the life that I envisioned as I was in college and read that book. Wanted to create that financial independence and that kind of gave me a roadmap to work on to get there. And I think obviously bumps in the road, like you said, 2008, etc. But I think it's working out pretty well so far.
Yeah. Okay, Rod, here's a question for you. Why do you think it's critical for other people? And maybe it's not, but I think it's critical. Why would you say it's valuable for other people to also, listeners, to be focusing in on this idea of designing their best life?
Well, I think if you live a very different life, if you have specific goals, specific purpose behind, getting up every day. And if that purpose is just, going to work for someone else, and that's the life that you want, then great. Like, there's nothing says you have to do these other things we're
Well,
talking about.
and it could be very fulfilling, right?
Yep.
Like, it might be that you're an emergency medicine physician who really loves what they do.
Yeah.
You're probably going to work for a hospital in that situation,
Right.
right? But that could be like incredibly fulfilling. So I do want to be clear, there's not a one size fits all perfect life. It doesn't have to be a business owner. That's what it is for me and for
Right.
you.
Hmm.
But for many other people, it might be that I want to lock in on what I'm really good at and leave that other minutia to other people.
Yeah. But what we would say is ask yourself those questions. If you feel like you're just living life just because that's the way it came to be, or just because that's what someone else expected or is telling you to do, we'll take a step back and look at it and say, what do I really want out of life? What do I really want the perfect life to look like? And then work toward that.
Okay, Rod, I think what we need to do next is talk about how money plays an important, critical role in this concept of designing your own life. Now, it might be very, very obvious, but
Hmm.
talk about from your perspective, based on just your experience, what you've seen, and maybe stating the obvious, but what is the role of money in this idea?
Yeah, well, to me, money is a tool. And so if you have, well, not if, anything that you want to do, it's going to take money, right? You want to live, you want to be with your family, you want to build a business, you want to whatever. Those things are going to take money, and ultimately, as I talk about my perfect life, there are things that I want to do, and I can't do them if I don't have that very important resource backing me up. So, and that, I think, for a lot of people is a hang up that is helpful to recognize and overcome, is that money, at least to me, okay, this is for me, money is not the goal. Money is a means to get to the goal. And
Yeah.
so that's kind of the way that I am designing and kind of working through my perfect life.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. I kind of view I view money as a tool to accomplish things. But I also kind of view it as like a scorecard, or maybe like a way to keep score based
Mhm.
on overall goals and objectives that I have, right? Like,
Yeah.
the success of a business is dependent upon its ability to be profitable, as an example.
Yep.
But here's the other thing that I think money does, Rod. It's a huge component as it relates to your personal peace of mind.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you been strapped for cash ever in your life, Rod?
Yes, I have.
Any listeners, have any of you been strapped for cash? Like, we have, and it sucks,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Being strapped is painful, and it really does affect like every element of your life. Now, some people might be really good at compartmentalizing and just like, okay, they're broke on one end, but they're just like happy. And now, again, I'm not saying money is happiness. There's a big difference,
Right.
but
Right.
again, what as it relates to designing your life in a deliberate and way that, like, the way that makes sense for you, like, having the money allows you to do the things without feeling strapped for cash, feeling like you have to worry about running out of money. And that's really kind of what the FIRE movement's about, right? It's about
Yeah.
being able to design that life and do it. Now, some people's designed life looks very different than mine. It could be like a minimalist lifestyle where
Mhm.
as soon as they get 5 grand a month in passive income, they're like, hang it up, I'm good. Now they're gonna
Mhm.
go do whatever they're gonna. I was gonna say travel, but they'd have to do it on like camping trips because you
Yeah.
can't stay in hotels at that kind of price, you know.
Yeah.
But again, that could be somebody's like perfect life, and that's kind of what's cool about it. So, um, money obviously plays a critical role, regardless of whether you need a lot or a little. You at least need some, and having the peace of mind knowing that you're already there, you're free to do those things without worrying about that, I think makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Okay, Rod, next we're gonna get deep into Rod's soul. No, not really. We are gonna get deep into Rod's vision. That's a better word. We're gonna get deep into Rod's vision for what the perfect life looks like. Okay. So I have a variety of different things that I want to hit on. And
Okay.
I'm gonna turn it over to you first to just kind of talk about some of these things for you.
Mhm.
But I'm gonna throw out some things to give you some brain joggers. How about that?
Okay.
Okay. So when you think about your vision, think about the things you want to be doing in your life, and I have a few things that I have in my vision for you, Rod.
Okay.
But we're talking about things like leisure time, work, religious time, relationships, personal growth, health and wellness, all of these kind of things that we have that we could travel. I don't know if I said travel. Anyway, so question, Rod, what is your perfect life look like? And I think what we're going to do is we're going to like break it up into two. We're going to break it up into like the life that doesn't have like kids that need structure and like
Mhm.
do things, right? Like it could just be traveling the world as an example. But that's maybe not super realistic, at least yet,
Yeah.
just because now I'm not saying you couldn't take your kids with you, but can I be honest? If I had to take 5 kids traveling the world with me, that would not be in the design that I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Anyway, talk to me, Rod. What's your vision like?
Yeah.
How
Okay.
much
So I'm
time
gonna.
do you spend in various activities? Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Let me start with like I broke my vision into basically 3 categories of just
Perfect.
the things that are I think most important. Number
Okay.
1 is time with family.
Okay. Are these in order right now?
I would
Or
say
just
in
okay.
order of like what the way I feel about it.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Okay. Importance to you.
yeah. Time with family. Number 2 is I like to help people.
Mm-hmm.
And then number 3
Okay.
is time in the outdoors. Okay. So those are
Okay.
kind of the 3 that I'm going to use as my structure
Those
to
are
build this
the
out.
critical points that make up your life.
Yeah.
See, that's one of the great things about you, Rod. We can just like dump you and your family in Yellowstone National Park and come get you a decade later, and you guys would be like
That
happy.
would
You'd
be
probably have
awesome.
like a nice grizzly beard at that
I hope
point.
so. Yeah.
But man, you guys would be rocking and rolling. You'd probably have built a small town by then, just because you've got so many kids, and now they're reproducing. You've got a couple of them that are married. Like,
Yep. Yep.
could be wild. Anyway, so we're gonna create a utopia.
Sweet. I'm in. I'm in.
Okay. Sorry, Rod. Okay,
Yeah.
keep going.
So
Tell me
okay. So
about how you break
now,
those things up.
right. Okay. So now in the perfect day, as it relates to family, it's a priority for us to eat meals together as much as possible. And because of the way that I work, because I work at home, very often we get all 3 meals in the day together. Not necessarily. Well, right now there are 4 of us in the house. We're down to 2 kids at home. And they're young enough that they're not out and doing things. When the other kids were at home and they were out and about, then it wasn't always everybody together. But
Yeah,
the ideal would be that is just that we design our lives where we can have that. And again, for right now, that's actually working out pretty well.
very cool.
And then
Okay.
in addition to that is having a lot of like leisurely opportunities to play games and go out and play sports and birding and
Mhm.
the
Man,
time
you brought
outdoors.
out birding. I have birding on the list, Rod.
It's a good.
You spoiled my surprise.
Oh, dang it. Okay.
It's all right. It's all right. People are like, "What the heck is birding?" Anyway, we'll tell you. We'll tell
We'll
you. Don't
get
worry.
there. Yeah, we'll get there.
It's an important part of Rod's life.
Yeah.
Uh,
So, so that would be as much as possible kind of building that in. But then there's also we build in work opportunities. So we have not a huge yard, but maybe a third of an acre. And so we have different
but you
projects always
guys do
going on
your
that
little
we.
farming project. Okay, Rod, I'm just forever great. Well, no, I am. I'm forever grateful that you're not on the 5 acre. How much was it before?
We
Two
had 2,
acres?
yeah.
2 acres, but like legit farming. I'm like, Rod, we've got business to do. And you're like, these next couple days, I've got to deal with this hay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the heck? Why are you dealing with hay, Rod?
Yeah.
He's like, it's a problem. There's rain that's coming down. I've got these big bales of hay out there. I got to figure out how to save these things.
Yeah.
crisis mode. And I'm
Man,
like,
you're
I don't even know what to say.
absolutely right. Yeah, it's much better now because it's like peach season is on. We gotta
All
harvest
right. All right.
peaches. And I
Okay.
gotta tell you, my
Peach
perfect
season
life
is on.
includes fresh peaches and fresh tomatoes.
Every day or just in general?
I mean, if I could get it every day, that
If
would
you
be
could get it
amazing.
every day,
The
that
way
would
that
be
the harvest
perfect.
works, it's not quite that like that, but
Okay.
I tell you
All
what,
right.
these last few weeks we've been bottling a bunch of peaches, freeze them, dry them. Anyway,
And Rod, I haven't seen any at
peach
my door.
season.
I have to give you some some Popple electronic business cards, Rod. When I do, I'm expecting some peaches. So
Okay.
I'm just letting you know.
Okay.
Letting you
Yeah,
know.
we'll do
Tell
it.
Jody to send me some.
Sweet.
Okay. So if you were to break down these different things, so we've talked about you like the outdoors, you like service, you like your family.
Yeah.
That sounds funny. Yeah, I kind of like them. Anyway, but so like, how would you? And again, I also know that like getting out and being active is important to you. Where does travel fit, Rod? Would you would you legitimately like spend most of your time traveling like to the outdoors rather than like, well, like let's put it this way. When I travel, I stay in like nice hotels and like cushy things. And I'm like, I don't really want to work too hard today. So like I do like to go out hiking, uh but Heather and I had a terrible snake experience. And so
Okay.
we have a little PTSD as it relates to hiking right now. But anyway, mine is very cushy, Rod.
Yeah.
Are you going to be like going to Italy with me, or are you going to be like in the backwoods and Banff, Canada?
Man, I would love both. Okay, because here's the thing.
Okay.
Because I
Little
do,
column A, little column
yeah,
B.
I do like to see like different places. I love that, just that
You
whole
like
thing.
history. So
And
yeah, of course, you would love France and Italy and like seeing the historical elements of those
yep,
things. You like
yep,
art and culture.
yep.
Okay, well, I guess
So,
that I kind of
but
knew the answer, didn't I?
and so here, as the older I get, the less I want to be sleeping outside, like camping.
Okay. Okay.
But
You like
sometimes,
to be outside,
yeah, but
but
sometimes it's just more practical to do that because if
yeah,
I want to stay in a hotel, but I want to be at like Great Basin National Park or something,
it's a
I got to
tough
tell you,
combo.
there's not a lot of hotels within 200 miles of Great Basin National Park. So,
Okay, well that sounds like a good reason not to spend a lot of time at Great Basin National Park if you're me.
I love it.
Oh, okay. I love it too, Rod. That's a fun vision.
Okay,
And
can
I
I hit
like
one
that
more
it's so
thing?
opposite of mine.
Yeah.
Not
So I want to hit one
opposite.
more
That's not
thing
right.
because I
What?
hit on maybe more on the family and the outdoors. Now let's talk about the helping people because that's where
Okay.
what we do for work comes in.
Yeah.
I mean, I like meeting with people and hearing
Yeah,
their
you like
story,
meeting
learning
with
about
people
them
way more than I
and
do. Not that I
helping.
don't love people, Rod, but I just like it's just like you have this like unique gift to be um consistent with your energy. You just like consistently can go through things. I'm more of like I'm all in energy and then it like drains me. I need a little recovery time. So when I
Yeah.
was doing like 10 appointments a day, it was like too much, but
Uh-huh.
Rod, he just nails it. So it's amazing.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes, you like to meet with people and like you said, helping people.
Yeah. And that's kind of like even from the very beginning when I started the furniture company, this kind of like motto that bounces around in my brain is it's about the people. So
Yeah.
you have different things you're doing, you have products you develop, strategies, etc., all these things that we do, but that's kind of becomes the focus. It's about the people.
Okay. I can get on board with that, Rod. Everything that we've done in our organization, we have tried to make like the experience better,
Mhm.
really take basically what we did is we looked at how we would like an experience to look
Yeah.
if we were going to learn and understand the principles and try to kind of duplicate that so that people are doing it on their own terms. So here's what's great about it, right? Like to your point, I'm kind of off on a tangent here, but I'll finish it and then I'll get back to you. But to your point, Rod, everybody ultimately comes to us,
Mhm.
and it makes such a big difference. And by the way, it makes a big difference in the conversations too. I
For
tell you
sure.
what, you probably wouldn't like as much is if you had to do 5 or 6 calls that are like people don't want to be on the phone. They're like a typical like sales call, but your calls are like people who are excited to talk to you, who are intrigued and, really open to the ideas and strategies that we have. So they are a lot more fun and friendly. And that way, like I do miss the strategy that comes with being on those calls. But anyway, this is a tangent because Rod was talking about helping people. He likes to help people, and this is what we do.
Yep, that's what we do. And then one other element to that is from the kind of the religious side, I want to help people who are down on the luck or who need, whatever lifting. So that is important to me. And I think as time goes on and that'll become a bigger piece in terms of helping not just locally, but going to different places of the world and doing, having cool experiences, adventures, helping people.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, so Rod, this is kind of weird to say because it is kind of up to you. Like you certainly have like enough financial freedom that you could do a lot of these things. But if it were up to you, Rod, how much time would you spend just like traveling? Basically, how difficult or not difficult would it be to like leave some of the other stuff on the sideline and just like the business, leave it on the sideline for a while and just go how much time would you spend traveling?
Yeah, it's a great question. For now, it would be less, right? And it would be built around like what most of the traveling we've been doing has been built around seeing our kids. Right? I'll use Spencer as an example, right?
Got
He
him all
joined the
over
army,
place now.
went to boot camp, and basic training, and then other training, and now he's living in El Paso, and we've had the fortune of being able to go and be with him. We've got there for this basic training graduation, which I think was a big deal for him, was a big deal for us. We visited him in Georgia during his training. We just got back from the trip to El Paso for him to get married. And so going to him where he is, and this will be the same with the other kids, wherever they end up, we'll be traveling to see that. And that'll be a priority. And then the second thing will be to try to do some of these kind of work, kind of service trips. In fact, right now, Jody's brother and his wife are in Belize, as like in a kind of a service missionary type of thing. And so we're thinking about going down, planning a trip to go down and just help with, a project, paint a church or something like that to, be there.
Very cool.
And so in this case, where I am in life, that would be a 1 or 2 week trip. But I would love if a couple of months out of the year could be something like that. Travel for family, for those kinds of things. That would be great.
All right, Rod, I'm going to take a minute and just talk about like what my perfect life looks like.
Okay.
So, and I think the easiest way for me to do it is to talk about the house. I'm going to try to do it without like bragging. But I also want to just suggest to anybody listening to this, when you're hearing me, realize that everybody has things that they love. And what I love happens like in my world close to me on a day-to-day basis. So I don't spend a bunch of money traveling. I don't go to like sporting events and things like that. I do here and there, but I would prefer to watch it on my big old screen at home. You know what I mean? Like to me, that's just the way to do it. Okay. So everyone has different ways that they spend their money and live their life. So that said, we bought this acre of land and I wanted it to be 2. I'm still crossing my fingers that we can expand it, but we've got an acre, which is still a good chunk of land. And basically my goal, Rod, is to never have to leave my kind of compound.
Nice.
So I am building, so we've got the pickleball court in the back, but this time, Rod, it's going to be even cooler, way cooler than the current pickleball court. This one's going to be like it's an indoor-outdoor basketball pickleball court. Yeah. And when I say indoor-outdoor, basically what we're doing is we're going back and forth on whether it's just going to be directly connected to the house or whether it's going to be its own separate building. But what we're doing is we're doing what it sounds like. We're building a big old court that's covered and has just walls and stuff, but it'll be like mostly windows around the outside and like those big old garage doors that are basically windows. Yeah. They're like, they're massive, right? And so we'll have a few of them on the sides and on the front and back, so that in the like winter cold times, you can still be like out there. It's sunny, you're getting the light. And when it's warm, Rod, you can just open all those things up and you're getting all the fresh air.
I love it.
And I've had this idea for like years, and I'm
Mhm.
just excited that I'm finally like able to like bring it to reality.
Yeah.
So we're doing that because part of my perfect day, Rod, is pickleball at 5 a.m. So I've got to have, especially living in Utah, if I'm going to have a daily pickleball at
Mhm.
5 a.m. Appointment, half the year, Rod, there's like snow on the ground.
Yep.
So I had to fix that. Okay, so that's the indoor-outdoor pickleball court. I got my office located in the house. So we've got the podcast studio will be up on top of like the master area,
Mhm.
but it'll be like, I think it's like 1,400 square feet, the office space.
Okay.
So we'll be able to get a nice conference table in there. So when the team comes, we can bring them in. Like I said, the podcast studio will be there. Oh, and right next to it, Rod, we'll obviously have the court, but we'll also have the game room. So we're putting in this cool trampoline room.
Oh, wow.
This is kind of a funny one. I saw in a Parade of Homes thing. And I don't know if everywhere does Parade of Homes, but if you don't, Parade of Homes is just like it's like a, I don't know what you'd say. It's a parade of homes. You go around to different new homes that have been built, and you can kind of get a feel for what people are doing. And it's like a great way for people to show off their houses, I guess.
Yep. Showcase the cool stuff.
Anyway, yeah. And so we saw a couple of these things. Well, we have a couple of kids. We have 3 kids, by the way, who are autistic.
Okay.
Like not that we've decided that with. Let me be very clear. They're actually diagnosed autistic. They're super brilliant kids. One of the things they all love is the trampoline.
Hmm.
And like my daughter, she likes to go out and just like, at the end of her day, she she goes to the trampoline. That kind of helps her like, relax and chill. And the problem is, Rod, can't do that outside half the year in Utah.
Yep.
So maybe if we lived in Arizona, that would be different. But since I can't move, Rod, I have no choice but to bring the activities inside. So that's what we're doing.
Yeah. Very cool.
I won't go into the rest of the stuff, but a lot of the other stuff is just cool, regular house stuff. But those are some of the things that are kind of fun and different. And again, like I wanted to be able to not leave my house if I don't want to. I want to walk upstairs to my office and do all of my stuff there. I want to be able to exercise, work out, really anything you can think of, man. That's my perfect life.
And I love that you called it the compound.
The compound. I wish it was like bigger. I mean, not the actual building. The actual house and building are pretty massive, but I wish that the land was a little bit bigger so I could like really like make it feel like a compound. But either way, like an acre gives us enough time to like, it's not like big enough to run laps in your backyard, but I guess I'll have to use like the neighborhood streets for that. I'll borrow them.
All right.
Okay. So but Rod, that's kind of my perfect life.
Cool.
Well, what's interesting is it's very different than what yours looks like. And yet we have a lot of things in common. I want to help people. I like to serve. I like to build. I like to grow. I want to create some charities. Like there's things that I plan to do. I just do it in a little bit different way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And what's really interesting, amazing about it is that there's not a right or wrong way. What's common there, or the commonality, or one of the commonalities, is that you've got to have money to be able to do it, regardless of what it looks like.
Yep.
Okay, now we're going to have some fun for a second, Rod.
Okay.
I've got your Rod's perfect day. I have put it together. I actually put my own perfect day together too. So I'm going to share both. Or Rod, if you want to try my day, you can. You could probably get most of it.
Yeah.
But I'm at least going to try to get your day first. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
Rod's perfect day. Again, this isn't the drop Rod off in the middle of Yosemite National Park. Are you impressed by all these national parks?
I really am. You keep pulling out a new one every time.
Yeah, it's because of you. That's the only reason I know them. I'm like, what? No, I mean, I've heard of them, but anyway.
I love it.
This isn't dropping Rod off in Yosemite. This one is like your regular day-to-day life. Okay. Normal day. Rod gets up around 6:30. I went with 6:30, Rod, because yesterday you told me that if you didn't have to get up at 5 to play basketball, you wouldn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
If they would play
I
later,
pushed it
I'd
back a
be with
little bit.
them, but I guess some
Okay,
people
so
have to go to
maybe
work.
6:37. Like, okay, what about like a Saturday morning, Rod? What does that look like? Do you get up early on Saturday
Uh,
mornings
yes, because going back to the whole
for
work
different
project
reasons?
thing,
Mm-hmm.
there's usually enough going on later in the day that's our opportunity to get a few things done. So actually, depending on daylight, I'll
Yeah.
get up. If
Okay, well, you're
anyway,
knocking it out either way. I feel like, Rod, you just have a lot going on, man.
that's
Okay,
true.
so Rod gets up around 6:30. Personal development and religious stuff time. That's we'll call that like, like 7-ish. Get some exercise in before breakfast. That's basketball. Now, uh, this is kind of a little bit skewed because I realize basketball is at like 5:30, but
Mhm.
in this perfect day, we're saying that you would do basketball at more like 7:30 or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I could
We
design my
can.
day. And
Yeah.
here's
Maybe you'll have to start your work day at like 9:30 instead.
yeah, if I don't get basketball, then it actually is usually pickleball. And
Okay.
pickleball
Or
is
pickleball.
6:37, something like that. So,
Okay. Okay, cool. So, and you can usually start your kind of work stuff by around 9 either way,
yep.
right?
Yep.
All right. Okay. So now you've got your exercise in before breakfast. Now you're going to sit down and eat breakfast with the fam. I said with Jody, but ideally you'd get as many of them there as
Yeah.
possible,
Yeah.
right? Okay. Now this one is questionable, Rod, because I do know that you like helping people. I think this one was for like my own peace of mind. I said, Rod, in an ideal world, would like to work on the business for a few hours. Um, I should have just said, in an ideal world, you would be doing things that were helping people in some meaningful way. One of
Okay.
those could be the business. Is
Yeah.
that fair?
Yep, for sure.
Okay. Afternoon. Well, wait, sorry. We have to have our lunch break. We talked about lunch with the fam. We
Mhm.
can have all of our meals with the fam. We're better off. Afternoon, bring some outdoor time, going on a little hike and doing some bird watching. Specifically, I wrote down a bird watching expedition. And I
Sweet.
learned yesterday that it would not be with your daughter, Belate, who would be, well, bored, I think.
Yeah. She
So,
has to bring
Belate.
something else. If we need her to come with us, then she's a willing participant
Okay.
if she can bring something else. So she'll bring something to draw or a book to read or something like that.
Okay.
And
I get that. Like, I think I would struggle with the whole birding thing. Oh, dang it. Man, Rod, we talked about the difference between bird watching and birding, and I didn't make the fix in my notes. Excuse me.
that's great.
Rod would go on a birding expedition. And let me just tell you, there is a massive difference between bird watching and birding.
Yeah.
And I learned about this yesterday. So, birding is like actively going out and finding the birds,
Yep.
right? Bird watching, according to what I've recently learned, is more like I'm just chilling out in the wilderness, or I'm on my front porch and I see some bird and I like to sit back and watch it and appreciate the bird.
Yeah. So
Did I
we
get it right?
obviously do some of both. So we have a bird feeder in the
Yeah.
back. We have anyway,
Okay.
so
That'd be weird
but
if you were birding, but you didn't enjoy the bird watching part,
yeah, that's true.
wouldn't it?
Yep. Yep.
Okay. Sorry. Okay. I gotta finish my day. Next, Rod's gonna take Hiram to go help a local widow, and then it's full family dinner time. We're gonna get 7 kids with the 2 new spouses. We're gonna bring uh what's his name in from basic training, and we're just gonna like pack it in. The
That
full
would
family
be
dinner,
brilliant.
the perfect day, right? Okay, and in the evening, Rod, I've got church service activities. I don't know if that's the ideal, but it feels like it would be something that would be pretty common and probably something you enjoy. Fair?
Yeah. Yep. Fair.
Okay, finally, Rod, chill, wind down time with Jody before bed. And you're going to bed based on my estimates, since I'm trying to think of texts and stuff back and forth, but I would guess like around 11-ish,
Yeah.
maybe a little earlier. How'd I do?
Yep. You did great.
Okay.
Okay.
And then, like I said, I did your overall breakdown of church, family, and business, but there really probably should be like travel, leisure, health, and wellness. Those are just smaller components, but on a day-to-day basis, it's in that like 30, 40, 30 range. That would be like what I would guess Rod's perfect day looks like.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, well,
I think you
close.
nailed it.
At least close.
Yeah.
All right, sweet. Okay, really quick, I'm going to tell you guys my perfect day, and then we're going to wrap this thing up because I'm sure people at this point are like, do I really have to hear more about these guys? Like, enough is enough. But I'm going to wrap it. We're going to wrap this thing up. We're going to bring it home, and you'll understand more why we're having this conversation if you haven't gotten there yet. Okay, here's what my perfect day, Rod.
Okay.
I wake up at like 3, catch up on some light reading, do some pickleball at like 4:30 or 5, breakfast at like 7:30, start meetings around 9, go to lunch with Heather. And nice thing is Heather and I she's home all the time. I'm home all the time. She works in the business. So one of the, again, kind of designing your perfect life for me meant that I had a partner who was open and willing to be engaged in the business enough because it's such a big part of like my data. And I run the business like all the time. So it's not like I'm like, okay, these are my hours. I just kind of do things at every hour. Right. So it's really so helpful that Heather understands the business, is part of it, enjoys it, and allows me to like kind of go in and out of it at will. It's been really great. Anyway, but the other nice thing is like you, Rod, we get to like eat all of our meals together and hang out a lot. So that's always fun.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, I focus on the business till like 2. Again, this is the ideal day. Then I'm going to go get my massage at 3. I was debating in the perfect day whether I wanted the massage in the morning or in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And I decided the afternoon is a little bit better. You've got like that like thing to look forward to. Like, okay, I'm going to plow through all this good stuff. I've got my relaxation on the horizon. So I decided, while it's close, kicking your day off with a massage is really great, but I decided having it later in the day is the way to go. Okay, so we're massage at 3. We're going to chill, relax, hang out with the fam in the afternoon. Maybe in the evening, we're going to watch a DVR jazz game, and I'm going to hit the hay at 9. And that's my day, Rod. And can I just tell you, that's my perfect day. And let me also just tell you that I'm like, it's just most of my days too. So I'm really excited to be at this place in my life where, now let me be clear, not everything in my life is perfect, right? But I am thankful that we've kind of been able to create a day that fits like with what I like. Anyway, it's been really cool, but Rod, it requires financial independence to truly be able to do that at the level you want to, right? Because I have the benefit of being able to say, okay, if I want to travel, because again, when I travel, I don't want to travel somewhere for a week. I want to travel there for a month because then, we're splitting up the actual travel stuff and spending like time in the space.
Yeah,
you know
make
what I
the
mean?
most of it. Yeah.
Make the most of it. So anyway, all right, I won't go into any more, Rod. That's my perfect day.
Sweet. Can I add one detail that I think is important for people to know? When you
Yes,
get that
please.
massage, no less than 90 minutes. Don't anybody think that Christian's going for a 60-minute massage.
It's like a waste of time if you go for any less than that. That's what I decided.
Yeah.
I was like, you gotta get. Okay, Rod, but in our spa, this really threw me off. When we owned the spa, and it was a franchise, right? So we didn't have a choice on this, but they did them in 60, 80, and 100-minute increments, so a lot of places will do like 60, 90, 120. There's a variety of them, but I have, and the reason I'm telling you this is like, I'm bearing my soul here. I have on occasion had to dip below that 90 and go with the 80, mostly because of availability issues.
Got it.
Occasion. And so I will go to an 80 occasionally. Okay, Rod, so let's bring this baby home, should we?
Yep.
When I was asked the question from Steve, I was telling you about Steve, our media guy, who was asking me questions on the phone as I was trying to come up with like, well, actually at this point I wasn't trying to come up with a topic, but he was asking me questions and he said like, and I quote, what do you do any cool shit? And I was like, well, I don't like travel or like show off my cool cars. Again, I don't have a bunch of cool cars. So that's why I don't show them off. But that's not me, right? So what I do is I said, well, I'm building my compound. Like, it's kind of cool.
Mhm.
Anyway, and what he told me after I kind of went through like what I do, he was like, that's what you sell. You sell helping people create their perfect life, their
Yeah.
deliberate, perfect life. And at the end of the day, like, that's what the financial independence is for, at least for me. And I think for most people that we talk to, money in and of itself isn't the destination,
Yeah.
right? Like you said, it's a means to an end to accomplish that. What it is it's a way to get to our perfect life, and or to create the closest thing to a perfect life that we
Yeah.
possibly can. And so, like, that was a moment for me, because I've always been passionate about it and I live that way in my own life. Now I'm like, yes, you're right. I want to make sure that other people are seeing and catching that vision, because can I just tell you, life is genuinely so much better when you're living it on your terms.
Yeah, for sure. Can I give a quick example of a
Please.
client, a recent
Heck yeah.
conversation that I think really fits this? So we have a client, she's a dentist, and recently she had an opportunity to sell off a portion of her business and kind of like work her way out of having to be there every day.
Mm-hmm.
So at this moment, she sold off, I can't remember exactly, maybe about half of the business. And so she's working 3 days, but she's also bringing on a new partner and working to the place where she'll be able to work 1 day a week. That's her ideal. That's her perfect life, right?
I love it. I love it.
And she's worked hard. I mean, done amazing things to get to this point, but ultimately getting to a place where it's coming to fruition. She's able to design her life, and she's doing it in a way where she keeps working. She likes it. She wants to continue doing it on her own terms. And it's really cool to see. We get to see people doing this on a regular basis, and kind of the fulfillment of these dreams and things they've been working for a long time.
And through the investing, through the decision making, through their strategic planning, right?
Yeah.
Like, the combination of hard work and those things brings this together. And you're right. It is really cool because we see it all the time. The other thing that's kind of cool is we see it with people in all different like income levels, right?
Mhm.
Because again, it's on your terms. Okay. Right. I thought that was a great example. I know exactly who you're talking about. I won't drop her name because we haven't asked her, but
Mhm.
she has an amazing story,
Yeah.
and has just done a cool job. So, Rod, let's close this thing up. My final thoughts are, if you're not working toward that, work toward designing your perfect life.
I like it.
Plain and simple. Okay. Thanks everybody for listening to us this week. And we will see you next week.
Thank you for listening to the Money Insights Podcast. To learn more about the financial and business strategies discussed in this show, please visit moneyinsights.net. The views and opinions expressed on the Money Insights Podcast are not intended to be individual financial, tax, or legal advice. Always consult with the appropriate advisor before making financial decisions. And if you're enjoying the show, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. This will help others find the show and learn wealth-building strategies for themselves. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next episode.